That's right, pal, she can't back up because we can't back up, can we? So, yeah, out and about on the old BSA Goldstar 650. And I've managed to get quite a few rides under my belt on this bike recently. When I acquired this bike at the back end of last year, and managed one ride out, and then it went to bed for winter. But now we've come out the other side of all of that. I've sort of given this bike some disproportionate attention as compared with the other three. I can't ride the classic 650 at the moment because it's up to its first service mileage. First service on the classic 650 is at 300 miles, and the last run out I did was quite a long run out, so I'm up to 350, so I don't want to take it much above that. And I'm recording this on a Sunday, and the bike's in to Apple Yards for its first service on Wednesday, so don't have too long to wait. And this is the first bike that I come to in the garage because it's the last bike that I used. So anyway, nice to be able to get out on it and become more accustomed to its little foibles and quirks, like having the engine light on 1 minute and then deciding it don't want the engine light on and going for quite a while without it on and then back on again, and I don't know. Hey, but other than that, and at the risk of tempting Providence, been great. And the thing to observe, to my mind, about this bike, if we are to talk in comparative terms, i.e. its obvious rivals, the Interceptor 650 from Royal Enfield, it's a very, very different engine. I mean, okay, it's liquid cooled, it's not air cooled like the Enfields, but the engine has got a lot more character. And I know there are some purists out there that won't touch this bike, partly because it's liquid cooled. Right, it's got that great big ugly radiator, or it's got that there USB socket, and dear oh Lord, that is very much a purist's approach. But well and good if that's your bag. Couldn't care less, me. It's a BSA. I'm not bothered that it's made in India. It's a BSA, big thumping single, and I'm riding it out here in the English countryside. That's it. I'm not right bothered about anything else. But it's got a lot of character, this engine, certainly more character than the Enfield 650 twins, which are a good bit more refined in my opinion. But if you're sort of in the market for either this bike or one of the Royal Enfield 650 twins, either the Interceptor or the Continental GT or the Super Meteor or the Shotgun or the Bear or the classic 650, then I suppose this bike really, to my mind, competes with the Interceptor and the classic 650 and not so much the others. Super Meteor's a cruiser. The Shotgun's a kind of cruiser without the forward foot controls. The Continental GT's a cafe racer, and the Bear 650 is a scrambler to all intents and purposes. So really, a like for like comparison would be confined to the Interceptor and the classic 650. And of course I have the classic 650, and I had the Interceptor 650 for quite a while. Oh, this gentleman's turned around. Don't appear to have seen anything that we haven't. Right, so yeah, they are similar but not the same. This and the Interceptor, for example. But this engine has more character. And if you're a fan of the single, then it's this bike's a no-brainer, isn't it? If it's a single you're after, because it gives you all the engagement and personality of, say, the Royal Enfield Classic 350, but with the same power, give or take, as the Interceptor and the Classic 650. And more usable mid-range grunt. I mean, you would expect a good bit more torque in the mid-range on a single than on a twin, but it is quite noticeable that in this sort of range of performance, that this bike has more shove than the Royal Enfield equivalent. Noticeably more. The Enfield will produce more power further up the rev range. Once you get right up the rev range on this bike and get it towards flat out, because it will do over 100 mile an hour, where you can do that legally. But this will start to run out of puff there. But you know, that ain't going to happen until well after 70, maybe well after 80 mile an hour. So where you going to do it, you know, and that's not what these bikes are about. So I find that the engine on this bike, this single cylinder Rotax engine, has a more engaging personality than the 650 parallel twins from the Enfields. That would be one observation. But yeah, when you wind it on, yeah, it feels like a good bit more. And you know, the sound. Oh, hey, that's all BSA. Leighton Reservoir looking resplendent. So in terms of personality, vis-a-vis the engine and the exhaust note and the mid-range performance, the award goes to the BSA Goldstar 650. And what about looks? Well, when I first reviewed this bike, the Goldstar, out of Eddie's Motorcycles in Tadcaster, 2 or 3 years ago now, I said then, and I absolutely hold to this view, albeit that's an entirely subjective one, that this is a better looking bike. And if they don't believe me, go back and have a look at that video. I reviewed the legacy model of this bike out of Eddie's, was it a couple of years ago? At least a couple of years. And I said that then I thought it were a better looking bike than the Interceptor, and I still hold to that view. It's purely a personal subjective matter of aesthetics, but I think this is a more attractive bike to the eye than the Interceptor. Not so the classic 650, especially the black and chrome one that I have. Well, I would say that, wouldn't I, because that's why I got the black and chrome one. I think that absolutely edges it on looks. I mean, what sold that classic 650 to me ultimately was the looks. The looks of the black and chrome version of that bike, and that cinched it. Otherwise I might not have swapped out the CF Moto 800 MT, or I might have gone for the bare 650, but I just, you know, as soon as I clapped eyes on the classic 650, I knew it just had to be. So in terms of looks, I think this is a better looking bike than the Interceptor, but not as good looking as the classic 650, because Royal Enfield with the new classic 650 I think have nailed it. Now I don't know if the reason that that bike has taken so long to come to market, because it seemed to be rumoured for years before it actually broke cover, the classic 650. Whether that is reflected to a degree in the beautiful design, i.e. they've taken a long time to refine the design. The British design team have taken a long time to absolutely refine the design. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know. But it's stunning looking to me, but this isn't far off. And when you consider that both bikes represent that sort of nostalgic appeal that these modern classics have, in a similar way, similar power. At one point I'd have said similar price point, but the BSAs have come down a lot now. You can pick up a brand new BSA Goldstar for £5,000, in some places a bit less, whereas your classic 650 in the top spec trim, the black and chrome, on the road cost is just over £7,000. So quite a bit of difference there, £2,500 difference. But that does bring me on to the other area in which the classic 650 wins hands down, and that is the fit and finish, the build quality. Now I'm not saying the build quality on this bike is poor, that the fit and finish is poor. It isn't. It's to a good standard, but when you start looking up close, the little things start to stand out. The little things where the Enfield Classic absolutely excels. So things like the handlebar boss. See, on this bike you've just got two box standard black clamps, whereas on the Enfield Classic 650 you've got a big polished metal CNC'd handlebar boss with the Royal Enfield engraved into it. Little things like that. On the classic 650 you've got polished metal top quality switchgear, and like the mirrors, I mean, obviously I've got these stadium bar end mirrors, but the OEM mirrors are nothing to write home about on this bike, but on the Enfield they are premium quality, and that general theme is consistent throughout the Royal Enfield. and to my mind is the hallmark, if you like, of the modern Enfield range, because they've come on leaps and bounds in terms of the fit and finish and the quality of the components. So the classic 650 just oozes quality in every bit the same way that, say, the Triumph Bonneville's do. Right up there now. I mean, the fit and finish on my £7,000 Royal Enfield Classic 650 is noticeably better than the fit and finish on my £8,300 Moto Guzzi V7. So Royal Enfield absolutely nailing it in that department. Now the ride comfort on this bike knocks spots off the Interceptor. Certainly the earlier Interceptors. I mean, mine was a 22 plate, my Interceptor. So it was the Mark II Chrome model. But with that OEM seat, it was very, very uncomfortable indeed. To be fair, I swapped to the touring seat, 130 quid's worth, and that did improve it significantly. But this is just a far more comfortable bike from stock, and certainly more comfortable than the Super Meteor. This is the suspension on that Super Meteor at the back. It was hard to get on with, and definitely not all down to the forward foot peg position. I think it was a combination of the forward foot peg position on that bike and the rear suspension, which to my mind simply was not up to the job. Now it's a bit soft. The suspension on this bike's a little bit soft. It can get a little bit skittish if you really push it on the bends, particularly if the road surface is not particularly good. And when is it ever particularly good in this neck of the woods? But the quid pro quo of that is it's a comfortable ride. If you're not in knee down mode, which I never am these days, it's a very, very comfortable, relaxed, almost sort of magic carpet ride. So only when you really start pushing it that the suspension starts showing its Achilles heel. But a big improvement over the Interceptor and the Super Meteor to my mind. All day comfortable. Yeah, you could do a European tour on this, no problem at all. Get some luggage on the back and off you go. I do like this colour too. It's the entry level colour, Highland Green. I think it's the best colour of the bunch. If you're wanting slightly more premium finish to the likes of the mirrors and the mudguards and whatever, you need to get the Legacy edition, which is silver, and silver bikes do nothing for me. But yeah, the premium version of this bike is the Silver Legacy, which has got chrome bits and bats. Does attract a lot of attention from people, this bike though. I think they see that BSA badge, particularly if they're of a particular generation, and they always want to talk about it. and I've found more sort of interest generally out and about from people of this bike than any of the Royal Enfields. Alright, just listen to that, it's symphonic. I mean, look, here we are in spring, all of these beautiful daffodils. In the Yorkshire countryside, and the glorious sound of a BSA single thumping away there. Magical. So yeah, you pays your money, you takes your choice. You know, if you're looking, say your expenditure ceiling is £7,000, then you know, your choices are sort of limited to what Royal Enfield offer in this category and what BSA offer, by and large. And when I say in this category, obviously I mean sort of mid-range, mid-powered, modern classic motorcycles with the British manufacturing legacy to the name. And you're going to get this bike a good bit cheaper than you are the Enfields. But really, what absolutely redeems this bike, apart from the looks, is just the shove of that engine in the mid-range. A2 compliant, so you know, you can ride this bike and the Enfields on an A2 license, because they're all under 47 brake horse. But it just sounds fabulous. But yeah, if you want to save yourself a couple of grand, then it's this bike all day long, isn't it, really? Of course, there are a lot more variants of the Royal Enfield parallel twins than there are of this BSA single. At the moment there's only this, the Goldstar. Coming out shortly will be the B65 Scrambler, which is pretty much BSA's answer to the Royal Enfield Bear 650. I think they're both cracking looking bikes. I do like the Bear 650, I loved it when I took it out from Apple Yards. I particularly like it in that yellow and blue colour scheme. Wild honey or whatever they call it. It always reminds me, does that, with some of these exotic names for different colours for bikes and cars for that matter. There are old blaster baits that we were talking about recently. I remember him saying he had an old Austin van and it were dog shit brown. Colour were dog shit brown. He said, funny thing, what following year I had a Volvo the same colour, but they call that bugger Safari Yellow. Hey, something to do with the price. But anyway, yeah, whatever they call it, that yellow and blue colourway for the Bear 650, I think looks absolutely fabulous. And the B65, one of the variants of that I've seen, is a sort of similar colour scheme. So it'll be interesting to see where those prices converge, if they converge at all. Because if the B65 is coming in significantly cheaper than the Bear 650, that might give Royal Enfield a run for its money. Look at that there, sunlight playing on Gouthwaite Reservoir, beautiful. Gotta love it. It's Easter Sunday today. A late Easter this year. I can never work out how they calculate Easter. Sometimes it's early, sometimes it's late. This year it's late. Don't know what else to say really about this bike. It just is an absolute hoot to ride. For me, it gives me all of that personality that little Norman, the classic 350, has, being a single. But it's got that power in reserve. You don't have to really worry too much about any overtake, certainly on roads like this. Get the right gear and you're going to be well off. This is where the suspension can get a little bit skittish, because this is a notoriously lumpy bumpy road and it's pretty bendy, and you can feel the suspension both front and rear nearing the limits of its capacity. It's just a little bit bouncy, but like I say, it's still a comfortable ride. Some will find it a bit on the soft side, I suspect. There is, I think, 5 notches, something like that, of adjustment on the preload at the back. Yeah, a comfortable ride, but the suspension itself, I mean, you know, the Royal Enfield Classic 650s running Showa suspension. Glorious. If you've not ridden one of these BSA Goldstar 650, just take one for a test ride. Get yourself to AKA Automotive in Shipley if you live in this neck of the woods. AKA Automotive in Shipley. They are a BSA dealership. And take out a demonstrator of this here bike. And then you'll get a far better idea than I'm able to convey to you here as to what it's all about. And speak to Charlie and Craig there, and they will certainly look after you. Also a Norton dealership and a Moto Marini dealership. Eminently customisable, this bike as well. Colin, that rides with us occasionally, has got the black version of this bike. He's had it in for some warranty work, and at the same time has had the engine casings powder coated in a bronze colour. So I've only seen a picture of it, I've not seen it up close yet, so I'll let you know what I think of it when I see it. But yeah, eminently customisable, these bikes. If you watch the Mindful Motorcyclist Sean, he has this bike, this colour, and he's done one or two things to that bike, and he's got the 50/50 tyres on it, and I forget, Sean, which tyres it is you've put on. There's only a limited number because of the wheel sizes on these bikes of that kind of tyre that you can get. Are they Dunlops? Anyway, whatever they are. No, the Bridgestone, aren't they? Yeah, I think they're Bridgestone 50/50 tyres. So you can do all sorts. Very customisable platform. But for me, it's just what an engaging personality this bike has, particularly when you're out and about in places like this. Aye. So there are just some early thoughts as somebody who owns now a Royal Enfield Classic 650, has owned a Super Meteor 650 and an Interceptor 650, and owns a Classic 350. Just some of my thoughts on this bike on a comparative basis relative to my experience with those bikes. Aye, so thank you for joining me on yet another journey up here in glorious springtime Yorkshire. If you enjoy this content, please, if you are not already, would you consider subscribing to the channel? It's free now and for always, as is all my content. Just click that subscribe, and in doing so you will not only have my eternal thanks, but you will also know that you have massively helped in everything that I try to do on this here channel. And with that, I will wish you safe riding, and until the next time, I'll see you.